Hello and welcome to David Parker TV. I'm David Parker. And by now, you know we have a new president. His name is Donald J. Trump. He has been elected finally to his second term. We know how it was with him the first time, and now we have the great Donald Trump for an encore performance. Now, let's get to the reasons why the Democrats did so terrible in this election. Finally, the truth is coming out. We have internal polling from the Democrats that said that they never wanted Joe Biden to run for re-election. They never wanted Joe Biden to run for re-election. They didn't want him in the first place. And that makes you wonder, did Trump actually lose that race? But we're going to get to that in a minute. But reports are coming out that prominent Democrats from Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi had urged Joe Biden not to run for re-election. This was over 3 years ago. It was right after he took office. They was already talking about who would run in his place because he would not be able to do a second term. And the talks intensified 2 years before the election. Barack Obama was adamant that he could not win. They had polling that showed that if Joe Biden ran against Donald Trump, Donald Trump would get at least 400 delegates, 400 electoral votes. It would be a blowout of epic proportions, and they knew it. They had the polling that said that, and Joe Biden knew it. And Joe Biden did not even listen. Because of his selfishness, he pushed forward as a flawed candidate. And the closer we got to the debates, the talks intensified for him to step aside. And he didn't. He went on that debate stage and did a dismal, well, that's putting it nicely, a terrible performance. It was the worst debate performance we ever seen in our lives. It was terrible. And the Democrats knew it. They knew it, yet Joe Biden pushed forward. And after the debate, it was talks that let's replace him. And they did not want to replace him with Kamala Harris. Because they same polling that they did that said that Joe Biden would not win, it also said that Kamala Harris would do worse than him. And this was years ago. The Democrats was already knowing that Joe Biden could not do a second term, but he was just so stubborn, hard-headed, selfish. He didn't care about the party. He cared only about himself. So now, after his terrible debate performance, it was obvious to the world, including the Republicans, that this man is a shell of himself. He's asleep at the wheel. So instead of embarrassing the country, they both, Democrats and Republicans, held their nose while they allowed the Democrats to change candidates midstream, something that you cannot do, but they did it because everyone saw Joe Biden was out of it. So the Democrats behind the scenes, what we're hearing now, they were pushing Gavin Newsom. They wanted someone else. They knew Kamala Harris couldn't do it. They knew this because the polling showed that she would lose even worse than Joe Biden. So what ended up happening? Joe Biden, out of spite, chose Kamala Harris as his replacement. Because after the debate performance, there was no doubt that he had to step aside. Even he knew it. Even he knew it at that point. He had to step aside. So then what happens after that? Now we have Kamala Harris thrown into the mix, and she had no idea what she was doing. All the Democrats knew what a terrible campaigner she was and what a flawed candidate she was, so they did not want her to run. So this is what happens after that. When she ran, Barack Obama and them did not even want to support her because of her policies. They knew those policies would come back to haunt them. They knew people realized and remembered all of the things that she did. And they did not forget it. They did not forget it. The black women went out in droves and voted for her. Over 90% voted for Kamala Harris just because. Just because. And the black men did not go out and vote in droves for her, as we saw when Barack Obama finally, reluctantly, at the end of the campaign, they sent him out there to try to get the black men to go vote for, and that did not work. Everyone saw through it. He did not want to do it, and it's coming out now. And now I want to talk about the repercussions for all of those who actually voted for him, especially the Latino voters. We have a man by the name of Angel Rodriguez that is famous right now. He is trending all over social media because he is a Trump supporter who stayed across the street from Trump people. And he is a Latino and of a Mexican descent, and he voted for Trump. He even campaigned a little bit for him on the internet, so you can see him all over the internet. So what ended up happening after Trump won, and everyone wanted to celebrate, that's a Trump supporter, his sons, who have been playing with the kids from across the street, the neighbors, for, as long as they've been living there, went over to celebrate with him, and the father came out and told the kids that you're not welcome over here anymore, that my kids can't play with your kind. You need to go back to where you came from. And Mr. Angel Rodriguez, he comes out and he was appalled. He calls the police. Now, before the police arrived, when he came out to tell the kids that his kids that couldn't play with them anymore and they need to go back to where they came from, Angel Rodriguez and him was talking, and he was brandishing a gun, and he shot the gun in the air, as to let Mr. Angel Rodriguez know he means business. When the police showed up on the scene, they told Mr. Angel Rodriguez, what you need to do is go back across the street and don't cause no trouble. There was no charges on the man for dislodging a firearm in public, in front of children. So now you see where we're trending. So all of the Latinos and everyone who actually voted for Donald Trump, and the polling showed that it was 90%. Well, you get what you pay for. You actually voted for having your people sent out of this country. You voted for mass deportations. So now you're going to have to live with it. This is David Parker TV. Thank you.